Hey, what's up, everybody? And here we are. Ba-da-ba-bam. I'm Indy, and Jay's over there muted. Hey, what's up, everybody? And here we are. There's my echo of myself. There. All right.
There we go. I had to find the right page with the unmute button.
You need more monitors. Need more monitors, dude.
Yeah, no, tell me about it. I need more space to put them. So yeah, I mean, we're not playing anything today because, quite frankly, it's E3 and everybody's at E3 and talking about E3 and thinking about E3.
Yeah.
So we've been watching, and I will admit, some of the ones I planned on streaming and then I didn't because it was late and I was tired. Or in the case of the one the other night, I thought, I can't remember, Sony maybe. I was so completely over the Square Enix press conference that I was like, I'm not even dealing with another one of these right now. So all in all, I've been fairly disappointed in what's been announced and what's been talked about. I'm not like over anything really. I mean, other than
no
squealing coming out.
I no squeeing over anything. I'm not. No it's all just kind of. It's okay. I mean, there's some neat stuff, but it's okay. Okay. That's kind of how I feel. I mean, the most exciting thing was the Devolver conference where the CEO is just talking, and then what's her face comes out and snaps his neck. That was the best part.
I can't believe that you didn't. You were a newbie to the Devolver Digital press. Apparently, it's a 3-episode story arc. So they're going to come back next year, and there was a cliffhanger at the end of the press conference. But yeah, it's they're always entertaining. There was an article just the other week about how they actually do those, and the company that when they did the one last year, it was like it all came together in like a matter of 3 or 4 weeks. They were just like, oh yeah, let's do this, and they talked about how you got to walk a fine line between making something that's funny and
calling people stupid.
Yeah, basically,
throw your money at us, you idiots.
Pissing off their friends and things who were, doing real press conference, because that was the whole thing. It's supposed to be a giant satire of, what's going on. It's just absolutely. I would agree for the first half of that. The one the other day, I was the same way. I was just like, okay, what is this? This looks like a real press conference. And then, yeah, Nina shows up and takes over.
Yeah. The fake clapping, that's always good.
So while I'm still doing some other random stuff in the other window and we're chit-chatting, so what have you seen? Have you seen anything that is like exciting that
for me
you've gotten?
Oh God. Fallout 76 looks pretty interesting to me. I'm not like super over the board excited for it. I mean, Red Dead Redemption, but I heard about that anyways. That's going to be out in October. Resident Evil 2. I didn't actually see the video of it, but I'm curious, is it like a remake of the original Resident Evil 2 or
that's one of the ones that it's like there's Resident Evil, Resident 2, or 2.
Then there's like remakes and then
yes. So I actually didn't see anything about that one, but it is the same type thing. It's like, okay, how where does this fit in everywhere?
Honestly, nothing really excited me. Here, I'm going to post a link right here. This is a graphic that someone made of the major release calendars. It's a major release calendar. 2018 Octopath Traveler. Amazing music. I played some of that music on my radio show.
I actually want to. That is typically not the kind of game that I play. Mm-hmm. It's like I've never been able to get through like a full-blown Final Fantasy or anything along those lines. But I'm actually very interested in that one. and there's a demo out already,
Right.
and so I'm gonna grab that and check and just see how it is. I like the fact that this is like the nerd, the mega nerd in me. I like the fact that there's all these little occupations, professions that you can have,
Right.
and it goes from there. So I'm actually excited to check that one out as well.
Yeah, it looks really good. I would have. There we go. Nice. But I mean, there's a new Tomb Raider. I'm just like, okay. There's a new another Madden. Oh my gosh, there's another Call of Duty.
I watched, and so
another
that was
Just
one of the
Cause.
ones that I was watching was the Square Enix one, and I shit you not, for the first like 5 minutes of that trailer, I'm like, I didn't have the sound on, or I had turned it down for a minute. I couldn't tell if they were showing the last game or if they were showing a new game. It looked exactly the same to me.
Wow.
You're in a jungle and there's ancient ruins, and she's like sneaking up on camps and taking people out, which is okay. This time you're in a jungle in, the Mayan world. And last time it was, I guess, the South Pacific or somewhere. I can't remember. I played the majority of that game, but I don't think I made it all the way through it. But it looked exactly the same. And I'm like, I'm not flying anywhere with Lara Croft, because apparently every time she gets on a plane or a boat, it sinks and crashes and ends up in some godforsaken place. But I didn't see the difference. And I'm sure there are differences, and people that, have played the series a lot more than me, I've played a few of them, I haven't played all of them, can, give a better idea. But honestly, I was like, I can't believe, we're still, that's still a different game than the last one we played.
Well, like I was talking about earlier, graphics are to the point where they're all, so close to being realistic. Now it's just like, because over the past, 10 years or whatever, every year graphics would get a little better, and they'd have a little more polys and a little bit better and a little bit better. And then there would be physics, and then they would just get better and better. It's getting to the point now where graphics in video games are going to be so realistic. You can't make them any more real. Yeah. You know what I mean?
We are definitely hitting that, or at least getting close to that point. Yeah.
Where we're going to hit that point, because watching the last Marvel movie, it was really hard to tell if what's his face was real or not. He looked like it could be a real character.
Who are you talking about?
The big blue dude with the glove.
Oh, Thanos.
Yeah, he very well could be a real character.
Look at what they did with Rogue One, and they completely brought Grand Moff Tarkin back from the dead.
It was pretty close. It was still,
it was freaky close. And they had, Leia, Carrie Fisher in there as young Leia again. So, definitely on the movie end, I'll go as far as say, yeah, it's there. You can do it. You can make somebody in a movie look so real that at least the people have to go, "What, are you serious? That person is not real?" You can't just look at them when not being told anything and go, "That guy looks funny," or "That doesn't look quite right." There's close, but there's a big difference between doing that in a linear medium like a movie or television and doing it in an interactive medium like ours.
But it's going to get to that point.
Yeah, it's getting,
and it's like when you look at human faces, you can see things that make it not realistic. But like, for example, the Princess Leia, if we had never seen Carrie Fisher before, but then they showed that character, you'd be questioning if it was real or not. Obviously, you're in your brain, it's not real, but just because she's, not that. But like when you look at rocks and trees and stuff, there's a lot of games that it's really, if you just glance at it, it's really hard to tell if it's a picture or if it's actual game. And it's getting to the point where it just can't get any better. So they really need to step up gameplay stuff and the way that the game plays itself. It's going to get to a point where it's going to be more about how the game feels when you play it. So when you watch a trailer, you're not going to be able to judge if you're going to like that game or not, because it just depends on how it feels when you're actually playing.
All right. So, and that gets me to my next, bitch about E3. You look at, we as my company, my real company, sit in and get called in on these calls with investors and hedge funds from time to time, and they get a bunch of industry people, and we sit on a panel and we discuss things that have to do with usually publicly funded companies, because that's what these people want to know, are we going to invest in and do that sort of stuff. So I'm looking at things from a next 12, 16 month or 18 month ratio. And you sit down and you watch EA and a lot of the Microsoft one, which I also thought was like completely underwhelming. And they're showing games that, are not coming out until like mid to late 2019. And that is just like, why are you wasting my time? It's part of the way that this industry runs in general. It's, how you end up with a game that comes out in 9 or 10 months and it already launches with game of the year. It's like, how do you know it's game of the year? Nobody's even played the damn thing. There has been so little real content shown. Everything is like cinematics.
Skyrim.
And yeah. Oh yeah.
Or people are so
Skyrim
excited
6.
about Skyrim. That's the biggest thing I've heard about is Skyrim 6. Well,
Todd even
5
said,
or whatever it is.
It's Todd Howard in an interview later said, yeah, Elder Scroll is in pre-production. That thing is 4 years away easily. That's just, something they put up on there and said, hey, yeah, we're doing it. Well, it's kind of like, no shit, you're doing it. We all know that there's another one coming. It's
right.
Not like somebody over there went, oh, okay, now we have an online version, the single player ones. Let's just go do our own. It's, I want actionable things out of these shows.
And, you know what? They literally could have at E3 just had a big banner that said Skyrim 6 is coming. Bam! Yes, and that would have built as much hype as, whatever it is that they showed. Because people would be like, oh my God, what is this? And
I'm sitting here looking. So on this, graphic that we're looking at right now, there are 17 games that are slated for this year. I would not be surprised if Just Cause 4 bounces to next year, but it is slated for December. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 20 that are scheduled for 2019, and 1, 2, 3,
9 to be announced.
Yeah, and another 9 that are like, yeah, TBA. It's and this is just from the big guys. This isn't, taking into account a lot of the mid-tier companies, and if it was, so insight from, the insiders in the industry for all of you consumers out there, if a title is slated to ship in the last month of a quarter, be wary, because they're either trying to hit their numbers for the year so they can put all of that sell in their revenue statement, and you do run the risk of a publisher saying, all right, cut it, send it, we'll patch it, and so you end up with a buggy mess.
Yep.
And so whenever I look, and there's a lot of things that are scheduled for, there's 3 that are scheduled for September. Now, NBA Live, I don't know, hell, I would have said that's a franchise that it'll be out. But I mean, there's been years that EA has completely skipped doing an NBA game because they knew it wasn't up to par. And then you got Spider-Man and Tomb Raider, neither of which I would say is completely locked in to a September. Now the Mario, so when we start looking at the Nintendo stuff, like Pokemon, Super Smash Brothers, Mario Party, those are going to launch. Nintendo rarely ever misses a first party release date.
Right.
But, a lot of the rest of this stuff, it's just like, I don't get it. I don't know. It's just out there to build the hype train. It's not out there to actually,
it's just to keep people interested.
Yeah.
And you know what's
Exactly.
funny? Here's something funny. All of these games look amazing. I mean, the graphics are phenomenal, but it's like we just don't feel the hype from it now. But imagine if all of these games were to be announced like 5 years ago, exactly as they are now, it would have blown everything out of the water and there would be so much hype. But now it's just like something so awesome looking is super commonplace.
It's yeah, and there's so much other really good content coming out that I, as a consumer, don't get nearly as excited about the big releases as I used to.
New Spider-Man,
The most,
Call of Duty. Hey, Lily,
I haven't
welcome.
played a Call of Duty game since it was like in World War II.
Me too. I haven't played Call of Duty. You had to go and massacre all those people in the. I guess that was Modern Warfare, wasn't it?
Yeah, I didn't even play that one.
That was actually a good one. I played the first player. Pretty good.
I mean, I sat and watched some friends of mine play it, and I'm like, okay, same game that it's always been. You know, I got a little more excited over Battlefield 1 from EA, but I didn't buy it. You know?
Right.
So yeah, this has always been one of my like rants about the industry. It's just, you know, it's so much hype, but the games that people end up talking about for months and months and months on end are the ones that come from the indie teams. And yeah, it's just,
those are the ones that are like changing genres and creating new genres, you know?
Exactly.
All of this is like, oh, it's a first person shooter where you either play against other people on a battlefield or you it's a first person story driven RPG. That's like pretty much everything. I mean, except of course for Mario Party and
hey man, that's like one of the games I'm most interested in. We love some Mario Party up here in this house.
Shark RPG. Arcade Islands. Arcade Islands.
Hey, Lily.
Shark RPG Maneater. Okay, so what else we got here?
Welcome to my world of, I don't know if she's serious or if that's like a joke game, because I can totally see that coming out.
No, it is. That's a game that comes out where you're a shark and you kill people.
Oh my god, I didn't even know about this one.
Yeah. Shark RPG.
Okay, let's go to the next thing while I look this up, because now I'm like, oh my god.
And that's from Killing Floor.
There was one a couple of years ago that kind of let you do that.
And that was like an asymmetrical where you were divers and then one person was a shark.
No, it was some kind. I want to say it was like a, something from. It was actually branded with Jaws or something like this. All right, so who's doing this?
You were cut from your mother's body.
Oh, Tripwire's doing this.
Yeah, you were cut from your mother's body and left to die in the unforgiving waters of the Gulf Coast. Your only tools are your wit, your jaws, and an uncanny ability to evolve as you feed. Anything and everything is on the menu, provided you kill it before it kills you.
If I remember correctly, Tripwire's based down in Florida, and so it's even more fitting that they're doing this because, they actually have experience with sharks down there. Why do I only get to be a bull shark? I want to be a hammerhead. So in my earlier days, my teen years, I wanted to be a marine biologist. And so I knew like everything about sharks. I mean, there was a point in time where you could show me a picture of like any random shark and I could tell you what it was. And so I can tell you that, yeah, bull sharks are actually the ones that are most likely to attack someone unprovoked.
So you're kind of like a shark nerd?
I used to be much more than I am now.
You watch Shark Week and Sharknado and all that stuff?
I got in trouble one time when I was a kid and I was like little. I was probably like 8, 9, something like that. We were at the beach and a girl, not like a tiny kid, maybe a teenage girl, got bit by a shark. Not bad, but she did get bit. And my mom and dad had to kind of move me away from the scene because I was standing there loudly taking up for the shark because I don't know what she expected. She's in their house, and they kind of had to just shuttle me on. But I'm like, what? It's true. It's,
What do you expect? Looking forward to updates to 7 Days to Die. 7 Days to Die, I feel used to be a really, really amazing game back when everything was blocks.
I haven't played that. I've heard of it, but I haven't played that.
Oh, it's
7
pretty
Days
cool.
to Die.
It
See, and
still
this
is.
the problem with me playing WoW for like 12 years.
7
I'm
Days
like,
to
there's
Die
so
is like
much
zombie
good
doing a
shit
zombie
that I
man.
missed out on. 7 Days to Die, and I probably actually own it.
It went through a rough
I
period.
think I do own it.
Alpha like 7 through 15. The earlier alphas, I feel like were so much more fun when everything was made out of blocks. But then they stopped using blocks and everything was more
More realistic.
Not pixels, but voxels.
I mean,
they were voxels, but it was like a block. It was like Minecraft, really. It was pretty cool, but I kind of lost interest in it. But I played it some. All right, so what was the next thing on our thing? Sony fucks up. That's what you.
That's our headline. All right, so
here's the article.
Aren't aware, so Fortnite went live last night or yesterday afternoon on Switch. What a lot of people found was if they had played Fortnite and logged into their Epic account from a PS4 ever, they were locked out of the Switch. They could not play it on the Switch. They would have to create a new, Epic login and make a new account to basically play it on the Switch. And this is not on Epic. This is squarely on Sony, and people have been bitching about it for a while. And it goes back to what we talked about in some of those earlier shows, where the console winner from one generation becomes a giant pain in the ass. I mean, the loser from the previous generation becomes a giant pain in the ass. No, wait, I had that wrong again. The winner is the pain in the ass. And that's what, we're looking at here, even though we're not looking back at another generation. I mean, we truthfully need to take.
And it's Sony's fault. It's not anything else, because it says here, once your Epic Fortnite account has been used on a PS4, you can never use it on any other platform.
Yes.
Not just Switch.
Yes.
I don't know why people weren't bitching about that before.
Because it wasn't as well known, because the number of people who have both a Xbox One and a PS4, that Venn diagram is pretty small.
But what about PS4 to computer? Must be small as well.
It works with I don't know, that article. No, it's any other console. They say platform. It works fine on PC.
Oh, okay.
Sony doesn't care. Sony and PCs play together fine. But Sony will not let you do cross-platform with a Xbox or Switch. And so we have this issue in Minecraft. Next week, I believe, the aquatic update's finally going live on Minecraft for the Switch, which brings it up to the same generation level or whatever as everything else. And at that point, I'll be able to sit down with the Switch and play Minecraft with my son if he's on an iPad, or if I'm playing on the PC and he's on the Switch or whatever. All of that works fine. But whenever Sony gets involved, they're like, no, we're not playing with anybody else.
That's totally.
And so the root of this is money, like you would expect. What Sony doesn't want to do is have you playing Fortnite on the PS4, but then firing it up on the Switch one day and saying, "Oh my God, I need to get the the Battle Pass, or I need to get this awesome new skin," and buying the skin on the Switch or the Xbox One, because Sony doesn't get any revenue from that. That revenue goes to the platform holder that is,
that they purchase it on.
That they purchase it on, basically, yeah. And so you see Microsoft and Nintendo getting along, quite frankly, because they're both like trailing the PS4. But now you're finally going to get a lot of pressure on Sony because people are pissed. And it's like, you're not just dealing with Minecraft anymore. You're dealing with, one of the biggest games out there right now, if not the biggest game out there right now. And some very vocal, very pissed off people that, they can't play this game on the platform that they want. People are playing it on mobile. They like carrying it around with them. You're not going to pick up your PlayStation 4 and carry it around. So for people that want to play on a different platform, they're screwed. They can't do anything. I don't think Sony is going to budge. I don't think Sony will change it one bit. Because
really? Not even after time?
No. Not,
I think they'll stick
not
with
in
it?
response to this. I mean, maybe way on down the line, but they've been absolutely heels dug in, so adamant about not doing it that I don't even know if they have the tech, frankly, to make it work. Not that they couldn't create it, but I don't think that they have I'll say I won't put it outside the realm of possibility that they can't even make it work technically.
That's just going to hurt them
anyway.
It's just going to hurt them because there will be that many less people playing on there. Like the amount of people that are going to go to another, break out their Switch and buy something, and it go to that is, I wonder if the numbers will equal the amount of people that are not going to play it on the PS4 because of that. Another thing with Fortnite, it doesn't on the Switch version, it does not include Save the World mode.
Who cares?
I know, that's what I say.
Nobody's playing Save the World mode anyway. If they were, they were consoles.
Zombie! Thank you so much. Thanks for the host.
Thank you much. So, and again, our highly original, totally exclusive Walking Zombie.
Yeah.
From Streamlabs that, everyone has.
Wombi.
And thanks for the host as well.
Yes.
Was that a host animation or was that a follow animation?
That was host.
I'm not even sure. Oh, well, they all look the same, so it's all good. It's so ridiculously frustrating. I mean, it's the same reason you saw Apple deny the Steam Link app the other week from Steam. There's nothing on the tech side that is enabling that or inhibiting that, but Apple doesn't want you using the Steam, doesn't want to further encourage you to buy a game on Steam when you can buy it on the App Store.
Makes sense.
But no, yes, at one level, but people aren't buying that many $19, $10, or $10, $20, $30 games on the App Store. They're buying free-to-play games. And so, this is where you have the business sense of something completely getting in the way of common sense of something. What Sony and Microsoft are learning is that, there's a lot more goodwill in working together and playing nice than there is in standing in the corner with your arms crossed pouting, which is basically what Sony's doing right now. Sony is the biggest kid on the block, and they're like, I don't want to play with you, into discussion. But we are, despite the fact that we're not sitting down and playing on PS5s and Xbox 2s or whatever the hell they're going to call the next one, because they have absolutely no numbering system at all. We already are in that next console generation. The Xbox One X and the Sony PS4 Super Duty, whatever they call it, those are in many ways the next generation of consoles from the original Xbox Ones and the original PS4s. And what we're seeing so far is Microsoft's doing really, really well. With their back catalog, their price drops, a lot of this, online access. Sony's been doing the streaming thing for a while with their, PlayStation Plus or PlayStation Now, or whatever it's called, system. I think if we were sincerely looking at something in terms of, a line's drawn in the sand, these are new consoles, who's winning? I think Sony's in dead last right now, simply because they're sitting around, pouting. I also think that Microsoft completely dropped the ball by letting Sony get a timed console exclusive on Red Dead. That, I don't know how much money Microsoft would have needed to pay to get that, but it would have been huge to get that exclusive instead of, Sony getting it. Because they frankly don't have a lot of exclusives coming out, and they announced we bought 5 studios at E3, but how many of those have actual games that are looking to come out this year? It's like 1, maybe. They still don't have that real big reason to go out and get one, although I am seriously considering it just so I can play SSX 3 from the back catalog again. So I don't know that I can justifiably say
it's a write-off.
$400, $500 on a console just so I can play SSX 3 again, but I've done it before, so it's not completely out of the realm of reason. So,
that's messed up.
But yeah, I mean, I think this is it's going to play out over the next couple of days, not the next couple of months. There's already enough bad press and angry people over this whole Fortnite Sony thing that, we're going to see what they're going to do. If I have to put money on it, they're not going to back down. And that's a colossal mistake. So what do we got next?
The biggest surprises and missed opportunities from the E3 conference here. I don't know. I had a chance to look at this article. I'll post it here.
Let's read it together.
Okay, let's do it together. Let's go ahead and give that. I'm just let's pull this up here. I'm gonna go down first. So the first thing they're talking about is Electronic Arts. The biggest surprise, we got a name for Respawn's new Star Wars game, the Jedi Fallen Order. Respawn has made great first-person shooters with the Titanfall series, which I actually really liked, but it's like after a while it kind of got boring. Did you ever play Titanfall?
I have it and I'll get to it in just a minute on why I have it. I haven't played it yet, but I'm going to. And I know the guys at Respawn, and they make fantastic games.
Yeah, it was a really good game. I mean, you crawl in and out of a mech, and then you kick ass. It's pretty awesome. The biggest missed opportunity, Jedi Fallen Order was announced without the logo or even a concept trailer, which felt like a letdown. Hard to get excited about a name even when it's a good name. So they really could have just made a banner, Jedi Fallen Order coming soon, and it would have been as much hype, I would imagine. Microsoft, bigger surprise, Halo Infinite could be a big deal.
Wait. Let's go back to we're not done with EA. Let's talk about EA for a minute.
All right.
So yeah, Jedi Fallen Order was announced. Who cares? It's not anywhere near being done, and we got next to no actual information about it. We don't know all we know is when it's going to take place. Mm-hmm. Is it going to be solo or not? Because if you remember a couple months ago, EA was like, no one plays solo RPGs anymore. Everything is going to be, online, which is a crock of shit. Otherwise, Pillars of Eternity and all of these other great RPGs wouldn't be doing fantastic. What EA's real message is, it isn't worth us making a RPG. That's which gets into my tangent about licenses and exclusive deals. Mm-hmm. I think is just like Billy said, the work of the devil. I know. See, lots of people do play them. I still. I'm going to tell you a little secret. Let me look right here. And this is an inflated number because Steam doesn't take active time in. They just look at something in terms of, this is how long the game was open on your system. According to Steam, I have 2,800 hours in Skyrim. The sad part is it's not really that far. It's not ridiculously that far out there because I have played a ton of it and I love Skyrim and I played it over and over and over, and I'm doing the same thing with Fallout. The problem is when you're dealing with somebody like Activision or EA, they will tell you up front to your face, if your game is not going to sell us 10 million units, I don't want to talk about it. And that's that's just how they operate. That's their that's the bottom line for their P&L. And you get these statements coming from somebody like EA, and they're like, nobody plays single person RPGs. I'm like, no. A ton of people play them, but not enough people for it to pop on your radar and you go, oh, okay, it's worth us investing all this money and doing one. And this is where it hurts us as the consumers, and frankly the indie devs too, when somebody like EA comes in and says, okay, we have the exclusive right to Star Wars for now and the next 10 years or however long their deal is. You're taking opportunities for sales, from passionate consumers who will absolutely buy these things. And indie developers, and who's the indie team that did, it was the mobile game, and they had like a train simulator type thing, but they did one with the Death Stars, where you're managing the Death Star or something along those lines.
I never saw that.
That was a great game. But you're not going to see them done anymore because Disney has, exclusive, I was trying to look it up while I'm sitting here talking. Disney has all these exclusive deals with the publishers. So it's ridiculous. But, to the point, we have no idea what the Star Wars game is, and when it's coming out, anything about it, and it's just frustrating. So that to me isn't like a big announcement anyway. And so I'll actually share so I wrote an article, like literally I was so incensed by their press conference that I like wrote an article while I was watching it, and it's on LinkedIn, but there you go. And I get I'm old and curmudgeony, and so I get angry at a lot of different things from a lot of different angles in this industry. But I look on Reddit, and everybody's completely poo-pooing, and even in the chat at the press release, they showed the the two indie games that EA is actually doing, and the mobile game, and everybody's like, oh, mobile crap, indie crap, blah blah blah. Where do you think these companies got their start to be doing the kinds of games that they're doing now? You don't just like come out of college and start making Call of Duty. That you have to learn along the way. And this is, that's what indie games are. They're the ones that are taking the risk and trying new things. And they're the ones that are growing the next generation of AAA developers. So if you're sitting out there and all you do is play Call of Duty and Fortnite, and you want to bitch about, the Sunless Sea or the couple of the different indie games, you got to realize if it ain't for these indie games, you're not going to have your AAA games. And so, seeing
or new genres like Battle Royale.
Yeah, exactly. All of that came from indie stuff. I mean, you can make the argument that Epic is an indie developer, and technically they are. They're just a gigantic one. And then I lost my train of thought again. So, that monopolizing of a license, really infuriates me. So the Star Wars thing was like, okay, so what? You're working on a Star Wars game. You can't even show it yet, which means you're at least a year from doing it, if not more. Whatever. So, Battlefield 5 was announced. Nobody's surprised there. NHL, I mean, not NHL, but, Madden's coming out, NBA Live. Absolutely no plus or minus to anything investor-wise, because it's all, they do this every year. We know what they're going to sell. It's a given. As long as you don't completely, drop the ball, you're fine. They're going to be fine. And then you get, the folks that come out and they're like, EA has done a complete 180 on loot boxes. And it went from, yes, we're going to have random loot boxes that are ridiculously, overpriced, and they sell. On top of that, they're going to actually give your opponents like real in-game advantages, to we're not doing anything with loot boxes. Although one of the game has like battle drops or something, which is it's a loot box. They just don't call it a loot box. But, that's a huge mistake from EA. The world isn't saying that loot boxes in general are horrible. Overwatch makes a ton of money on, everything Blizzard does, basically. Overwatch has got them. I guess WoW doesn't technically have them, but, Heroes has them. Hearthstone has them. There are plenty of companies that have shown how you can effectively do loot boxes. As long as it's cosmetic, people will pay for it and they don't care. You're going to have the people that bitch like they did after one of the events in Overwatch, when someone calculated the number of hours you would have to get every possible drop in, for the event. But you know what? Kiss my ass. The number of people that need to do that are ridiculous. You can bitch about that all you want. Fine, whatever. I'm not, but it's going to go in one ear and out the other. I don't care. And then, so the loot box model in general is not horrible. It's not like the work of the devil. My parents bought loot boxes when they were kids. They were called baseball cards.
Yeah.
You paid $3 or however much it cost for a pack of baseball cards, and you got 10 or 12 cards. You didn't know what was in it. Some of them were worth more than others. Congratulations. That's a loot box. The other side of it is Epic has shown without a doubt how a subscription service can work, because that's basically what Battle Pass is. It's not like a monthly recurring rate, but they have a ton of revenue coming in on a Battle Pass, which gives you no inherent advantage in the game. It just unlocks unlockables that you can't get to otherwise. And so I don't even know the amount of money. I'm sure it's somewhere, but I haven't looked it up. The amount of money that is simply coming from the Battle Pass system. Oh yeah, dude, there was something that said they made however many millions the first day. We did have an article about that, about how many millions that Epic made the first day that it was available on iOS, just from the Battle Pass. So, there are multiple examples in the industry of how to do microtransactions well. EA has just said, no, we're not going to do it at all. If I'm an investor or hedge fund or any of those people that look at stock prices all day long, that should terrify the shit out of you on EA, because they are completely hamstringing a ton of revenue because they don't want bad PR. They showed Unravel 2 and Sea of Solitude. I love it. Those are two indie games. I know. So the team from, I want to say Unraveled, actually started at one of my clients, a company that was our client like 20 years ago. And that's what I love. I love when people I worked like 15, 20 years ago are still in business. And I'm like, I know them. We did stuff. Anthem looks great. It's a 2019 title. We saw it looks exactly like Destiny. But it'll probably be good because it's BioWare, and BioWare rarely completely screws anything up.
Really. By the way, how's it going, Bjorn? How's it going, Dev? Bjorn and
hey,
how?
Everybody. I'm going off on another one of my rants. Can we just call this Jay Rants for an hour?
Jay Rants for 2 hours. Yeah. Just get a close up of your mouth.
This is what pisses me off. So, I want to see EA do more original stuff. They have all the tools to do it. They have the pipeline to get it out there, but they're doing like 2 games a year. I want to see them do more than that. And they keep, every now and then they pop up with something like their EA partners. None of their third-party indie type initiatives ever last very long. And so that's one of the things that just kind of gets me too. What was next in that article that I went through? Oh, okay. So for all the stuff that EA showed, if you ask me what is the one thing that is going to potentially be the biggest change for them this year, is their mobile game. And, again, you get everybody, you look at half of the reviews or half of the articles about, EA's press conference, and there's people going, ooh, Anthem, and oh, Battlefield this, and Star Wars. And then they're like, oh yeah, and they announced some mobile game. They announced a Command and Conquer mobile game. All right, so let's break this down. When it comes to mobile games, there's 2 archetypes of players. There's the older generation, me, you, Indy, Heine, Bjorn. I'm putting in that because I don't know that he's as old as us, but I'm gonna claim that he is. And then there's the younger end, like the 14 to 24-year-olds. So I'll even say 14 to 29. Those are the players that are willing to invest time into a game. They don't want to pay for a lot, but they're willing to play these games for hours on end to grind through and get what they need to get through. Then there's the people like us, where it's like we have a life and we have families and we have kids and we have stuff that we're going and doing all day long. And it's like, I can't sit down and play a mobile game for 6 hours. Okay,
that's the guy who has 2,000 hours in Skyrim.
Yeah, that's over a long time, and half of that time I was sleeping and the computer was just turned on.
Huh.
But we're more willing to pay. Not necessarily a lot of times, but if something comes up, like my Battle Pass in Fortnite, for $10 a month, I get access to cooler looking crap, basically. Yes, here's my $10. We're done. You've got that mentality that comes into a lot of the mobile games. So they're taking a mobile game, they're creating an iteration. I'm not going to say a clone. I'm going to say it's an iteration of Clash Royale. So you got 2 bases. It's basically like a little mini MOBA, and you've got units that go across and they fight in the broad spectrum of the world. they've taken that, put a little bit of twist on it, because now you're not necessarily trying to take out their towers and take out their base. You're trying to basically control the middle of the field and use the nukes in the middle to take out the base. So that's a little different. It's different enough to be interesting. And you've got a IP that, quite frankly, the 14 to 24-year-olds don't even know about. They have no idea what Command & Conquer is. But for us, we played the shit out of those games in, college and even after college. Some of my greatest, RTS multiplayer memories are from playing Command & Conquer. We were playing the 3-man map. I once convinced one of the players by sending a harvester like way up randomly that's where my base was. So he went and attacked the harvester. And then I took him and his entire army on a merry little goose chase all across the map while they're trying to chase this one little harvester. And my army came in and cleared out his entire base. We know Command & Conquer. The minute I saw, a Tiberium field on that screen, I was like, oh my shit, oh my God, we're getting Command & Conquer again. You've paired a known and successful game archetype with a business model that the people that are fans of the IP that you target are going to spend money on. I think if there's anything that comes out of EA's press conference that is actually going to, yield significant numbers that people aren't necessarily looking for, it's that mobile game. Now, whether it will or not, I don't know, but I've already downloaded it and been playing it on my phone. My problem is I need a bigger player. my little Pixel 3 isn't, ideal for me playing like a quasi RTS game. But I think, to me, that was the best thing that came out of EA's, show, because it was actionable. It's like the Star Wars game will probably be great. Anthem will probably be great. It's just not coming out for at least another year. And so that's why, I liked that one that they show more so than anything else. So what do you think, Andy? What does everybody else think?
I was not like a huge, they put Anthem in perspective, which you think is good. I was never a huge RTS fan. That's what I think. I was never like a big RTS fan. I mean, I don't know. I'll try it. I sucked at RTSs, so I was not really my thing.
No, it's not a weakness, since the player base is not small at all for a mobile game. I mean, it's when you're dealing with something that's free to play. So my neighbor, he's a pastor. And so, he's like me. He doesn't go into an office every day. But, whenever we're, hanging out, or if we're picking up the kids at school, because these kids are a little older than mine, but they all go to the same school. I noticed he's always looking at his phone. And I'm like, maybe he's got a sermon he's working on, or he's networking or whatever. He tells me one day, no, I'm playing Star Wars Galaxies, or Star Wars, whatever the mobile Star Wars game is, where you build your team of characters and you play. That's the thing. It's like he's not a gamer. He won't tell you he's a gamer, but he has, IPs that he knows and he loves. And the number of people who have mobile phones and are playing mobile games that, now won't consider themselves to be a gamer because they don't play anymore, but they did when they were younger, they're going to immediately know, oh my God, Command & Conquer. And so that's going to be, they're basically using an IP to drive sales, but it's their own IP, so they don't necessarily have to pay for it.
Bringing it back. Command & Conquer was huge. I mean, it was huge on Twitch too for quite a long time. So really? So I think some people are starting to know. Yeah, simply because it was competitive. You know what I mean? But that was a long while ago. So
I didn't realize Twitch had been around long enough for Command & Conquer to
maybe I'm thinking of something different. RTS.
I mean, there was always StarCraft.
I was thinking StarCraft.
You're thinking StarCraft, yeah.
I'm thinking StarCraft.
So,
see, that's as much as I play RTS games. Why would someone leave the Crash of whatever to play the Command & Conquer if they aren't Command & Conquer fans?
Because they got tired of Clash. You're not going to get... So, when you look at mobile games, you're looking at minnows, dolphins, whales. in terms of the highly technical term that people in the industry use to define their users. Whales are spending hundreds, if not thousands of dollars a week in some of these games to buy the latest crap and to have all the good stuff. You're not going to get them away from whatever game they're playing. Give it up. What you're trying to do is convince those minnows and dolphins who are, the ones that are projected to spend less or might not spend money at all, that are just out there playing. You're trying to convert them to your game and entice them to spend more money. So you're not necessarily going to be pulling a lot of people that are passionate about Clash in there. You're bringing a different, game to the genre for a whole new wave of people. You're looking at, I'm sitting here, I've got there's an article that came out back in March that basically boils through some of the demographics and the metrics from the mobile industry. I just shared it over there. So, if you're looking at, in 2017, mobile games accounted for 80% of all the revenue, all the app revenue from iOS and Google Play. And you're talking about $50 billion. They actually, it generates more than, half of the total revenue. So, if you look at all the money that video gaming brings in, less than half of it is not mobile based. The number of people that you can go to is ridiculous. And so that's where, you get and see these casual games. So if you're looking at that and you scroll down to where it says, the top grossing mobile game apps, yes, Clash Royale is on there and Clash of Clans is on there, but look at the first two, and it's Candy Crush. And, these are people that are never going to admit that they're gamers for the majority of them. They're like, no, I'm not a gamer. I just play Candy Crush. Well, I'm sorry, you are a gamer. You're not a gamer like, Indy and I that are going to sit down and play Fallout for, 3 or 4 hours. But, you still are a gamer. 23% to go to like halfway down on that thing where it says demographic. There's 193 million gamers, mobile gamers in the US. The age breakdown. 23% is over 65, 15% is over 45, 19% is over 35. The vast majority of your mobile gamers are older, and they're the ones that people, that's the demographic that pays for these games. There aren't a lot of 22-year-olds that are going out there and dropping $1,000 a week, in a slot machine game on mobile. But there are a lot that are over, 35, 45, 55, and 65.
I can't believe 23% are 65 plus. Wow.
Yeah. I knew Candy Crush had completely, saturated everything when my wife and I we went to see a show, like a theater show, a musical. I forgot what it was. And I looked beside me, and there's this woman who had to be 85. And I'm saying that's the low end of my estimate on how old she was. She was old. Pulls out her phone before the play starts and starts playing Candy Crush. And I'm like, oh my God, there's literally everybody playing these things now. So, the sheer number of people that you can reach with a mobile game, especially when you have somebody like EA's ability to go in and spend all the UA money that they need to get the people coming in and to cross market with what they've already got. Yeah, you've got a big hit on your hands.
63% of mobile gamers are female.
Yeah.
60% of female mobile gamers play daily. Wow. Interesting stuff.
It is a
oh, thank you.
Gigantic, market that, unfortunately, the downside of it is it's not a market attainable by indie teams, because you have to invest so much money in getting the traction that, these teams don't have that kind of money, so they've got to find other ways to, to get out there and go bring in these companies. Bring in these players. And so that's where, it's a gigantic, it's a ridiculous industry. A demographic to go after, but it's so hard to do it. Only the companies like King, which is actually owned by Activision now, EA and Activision and these guys are the only ones that can really go out and target it well. So, if I was sitting looking at anything, it's, the fact that this Command and Conquer title from EA could be really, really big.
If they marketed it to women.
But I mean, you're not gonna. This isn't the Candy Crush.
Yeah. No, I'm making a joke.
World, but it's absolutely number 4, number 5 on that list were much more strategy oriented.
They'll blow it out of the park for sure.
One week we can totally steal Bjorn's idea over at Game Dev Company. Who shout out because you do a fantastic show. Bjorn will go through in the top 25 games on Steam. We need to do one where we go through. Sensor Tower is probably one of the easiest ones to go through, and they track, or App Annie. They track the most profitable games on mobile.
I would like to do a thing where we just like 5 newly released games.
Yeah, we could do that too.
Yes.
Anyway, right. So yeah, that's all my EA stuff.
Well, that's good. And then also tomorrow we're going to do the same thing. This is episode 9. We're going to do episode 10 tomorrow, and we have a lot more information we can talk about. We can look at the best trailers from E3. Talk about Fallout 70. Fallout 76 aims to stop people from being jerks, and we can talk about that.
That's going to happen.
Yeah,
but you can RP on it. If you got your own server,
yeah,
maybe you
can RP on it.
I'll totally get in there and
maybe we could bring the pillared men to the RP.
So all right, just catching back up on chat here.
You're gonna be a Fallout Wasteland Raider. Nice.
So all right,
Cyberpunk.
I suck at pronouncing internet handles, so if I completely crucify your name, just bear with me. Nias is really enjoying Fallout Shelter on the Nintendo Switch. That is a case in point. Fallout Shelter is an excellent example of a game that was built from day one to monetize on multiple platforms. And, it came out on iOS, then it came to PC, and then it's on Xbox, PS4, now it's on Switch. It's not as a indie developer, as running your company as a business, you have to plan for these things because the amount of revenue versus investment that you get from going to a different platform or localizing and doing different languages, which is key, always be ready for that, is, your ratio is much better than if you're making a whole new game from scratch. And so, when Bethesda was creating Fallout Shelter, they planned for this down the road. And, you want to look at 2 things that are going to be driving a bunch of in-app purchases over the next several months on the Switch: Fallout Shelter and Fortnite. It's a very good move for them to do that. I mean, it fits well. XCOM was good too. They were one of the first ones. Take-Two was one of the first ones to show that you could have success selling a premium game on the App Store, because they came out and started selling XCOM at like $20 on iOS. And so, that's
crazy.
I'm not going to say that one was built for it, but a turn-based strategy is a good area to, merge into. And then of course, they've got it on PlayStation. That's another game. Let's pull up this depressing statistic. The original XCOM, not the original one, but the one most recently, XCOM, what was it called? Was it UFO? No. Oh, you know what? Because it didn't have a dash in it. That's why I can't find it in my library. It was just XCOM Enemy Unknown. 210 hours in XCOM. And that's real time. I have never finished the storyline because I keep going back and going, wait a second, maybe if I build this here, or if I don't get this guy killed, or maybe I need more snipers. And so I ended up sinking a ton of time into that one. XCOM on mobile, yeah. It's, for a long time, I don't know if it is now, but for a long time, it was at least in the top 100 of top grossing titles. And to do that with a premium game is ridiculously good. So yeah, it did work out. What do you want to talk about on Cyberpunk? There's nothing. There's a trailer. Even, and CD Projekt Red even said, if you like freeze frame in that trailer, this game will be out when it's out. We started working on it after the last Witcher update. I think it looks fantastic. And I have, again, like BioWare, I don't single doubt in my mind it's going to be a great game. But it's so far out, it's at least 2019, if not 2020. So it's like, hey, thanks for the trailer, guys. Now what?
Hopefully in 2 years, the trailer will be better.
Yeah, really.
Xenonauts looked like I worked on Xenonauts. I did the animations in Xenonauts. Well, I would say 99% of the animation.
Have you seen Phoenix Point?
Mm-mm.
So Julian Gallup, who was a client of mine back in the day as well, he and his brother did a game called Laser Squad Nemesis, which was their first attempt at the spiritual successor to XCOM. Because they were the designers of the original XCOM. They've got a new game coming out called Phoenix Point, and Fig is doing it. They've already raised a whole bunch of money, but here you have the actual original designer for XCOM doing a new turn-based squad or whatever strategy game. And so that's actually looking.
I bet when they were making that, they didn't realize how big that genre would be.
No.
They're just like, oh, this would be kind of cool. They put it together and made this game, and then it's like, blam, look at all of these offshoots of turn-based strategy type games. And there's so many different variants of them. There's a Western one that I liked playing where the people turn into monsters. Awesome. I can't remember what it's called, but it's awesome.
Look at all of us old nerds. What did we start playing? D&D. What is D&D? D&D is a turn-based squad game.
Yep.
And so, taking that to the digital level isn't necessarily the hardest thing in the world to do. You've already got a foundation for it, and you've already got a group of people who like it. I constantly, me and one of the guys at Wizards, we have this ongoing beef back and forth. They have Baldur's Gate, Icewind Dale, and Neverwinter Nights, and all these great RTS games, but they're mostly somewhat real time. And they had the one that came out. I can't remember the name of it, but it was legitimately turn-based, and it was the one that I enjoyed the most because it actually used like the 3rd edition rules, but it was like the worst selling. And I'm like, that's what y'all need to be doing more of. And he's like, nobody bought it. I'm like, I don't care. It was the best one. Temple of Elemental Evil. That's what it was. The Temple of Elemental Evil, which was a D&D, module. And so, that conversion to a game was the one that I liked the most because, you can actually think through and do what you're going to do the same as if you were playing, D&D.
Yeah. Drop a link. Drop it.
Yes. What was the new XCOM? Is in XCOM 2? Or is there another one? Just drop the link in here, Dylan. All right, so we're still back at, trying to get everything back on somewhat of a track. Are we still looking at the biggest hits and misses from the gaming? Where is that?
Improving on Pokemon Go.
That wouldn't be hard to do. Pokemon.
I mean,
Go
that's what that link goes to.
From a game design point of view, Pokemon Go is a joke. So there's a lot of ways that you can very realistically improve on it because it's not much of.
Heine, what's up, dude? Improving on Nintendo's presentation would be a good start.
What was I love Nintendo's presentation. I watched it again last night with my 6-year-old, and they showed things that are coming out this year. So yeah, I mean, because one of the articles that we have we're going to talk about was Nintendo's stock price dropped after their presentation yesterday, and I'm like, why? You've got major first-party games coming out. Anyway, we'll get to that in a minute. I'm trying to find
60% was Smash.
Oh yeah, a lot of it was Smash. Yeah, I will wholeheartedly agree with you there. But to be said, that's going to be a gigantic revenue driver.
Gonna smash the.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Too much for non-Smash players. Exactly.
Even my eyes, I liked the whole thing of, here's all the characters that we're doing. And I love the fact that they're doing every character ever. But the second half of that presentation where they're like, and this is exactly how we've changed Mario's Ultimate, blah, blah. I was like, oh my God, even I don't care. This is ridiculous. Todd. We're going to put Todd in there. Yeah, I agree. They should have left that over in the treehouse section. Speaking of Todd and like random crap that was in press conferences, did everybody see the announcement of the next port of Skyrim to Alexa?
Yeah, and apparently people are saying that's real.
It would not shock me if it is. I mean, quite frankly. But it was absolutely hilarious. Yeah, it is. Here's an article. Skyrim is actually playable on Alexis.
I wonder if you could just do OK Google and play it like that.
Well, that's not Alexa. Alexa's Amazon. But yeah, there's a link to it. I was dying because somebody had said when Bethesda started teasing the Fallout 76 the other week, a friend of mine on Twitter was like, "What are they announcing?" And I'm like, "Probably Skyrim for Pip-Boy," because I don't know where else they can put Skyrim at this point in time. Yeah, it'll be an idle game, Diggy Wobble. We're gonna have an
what's up?
Idle game that goes along with the Alexa port of Skyrim type thing. But it's not attracting to non-Nintendo players. But at this point in time, who's a non-Nintendo player? You've got folks of all
non-Nintendo.
ages. Yeah, I mean, the Switch is doing what the Wii did. It's opening up games to a whole lot of new people. So there's a kid right down the street that plays Splatoon and Minecraft with my son, and he's in 5th grade, however old that is. He's not that much older than my son. His grandfather went and bought a Switch so he can play with his grandson, and then my son actually as well, because they all get on the same like Splatoon and Minecraft servers. But you've got a platform that's doing exactly what the Wii did, when it came out. It's opening up games to a whole lot of different genres. I mean, a whole lot of different demographics that aren't typically gamers.
Oh, you know what the big thing for the Wii was? The Wii bowling in bars.
Yeah.
That was like the huge. In every bar you would go into, they'd have a Wii set up so you could bowl.
Well, did you see the trailer for or the part of the press conference that talked about Mario Party where they've got the 2 screens that act as one screen?
Oh yeah, and if depending on where you're sitting, was that Mario Party? I've seen that for other games where, like, if you're sitting on the left, you see stuff on the left. If you're sitting on the right, hey Digi, thank you, man.
Thanks for the host, dude. The completely you hosted and it completely derailed my train of thought there.
Dual screen action. Where
that's the thing left. That will take off. It's the same thing. It'll be popular in bars and places like that. I had a lot of friends take their Switch and Mario Kart to the bar when Nintendo first came out, and he said, within 10 minutes he would have a crowd around him playing, watching or wanting to play Mario Kart on the Switch. I didn't know. So we're big fans in this household of the Mario Party series in general. So of course that was like one of my son's, big exciting moments. I have since discovered, thanks to Reddit, there's like a whole, one of the big ways that people play Mario Party is they make a drinking game out of watching the CPU play against each other for the entire thing, which I think would be hilarious. I had never even thought of that. They would make matches and it's all 4 CPU players, and then they bet on them and, go throughout the course. It's just, I was like, that's a brilliant idea. So anyway, all right. So all right, that was the biggest. That was EA. We're only like part of the way through this one article. Microsoft. All right. So what did you think about? I've been talking too much.
No, go ahead. Let me pull that article up again. Prizes. Here we go. I didn't see it. But they're talking about the Halo. I'm not a huge fan of Halo. I didn't like it, so I don't care about the multiplayer. So I wasn't really watching any Microsoft anything. That trolling in the Gears of War. You know what? I didn't see any of the stuff.
So Microsoft is the one that had the most to prove coming in. They've gone from being in second place in the console war to flat out losing now that the Nintendo Switch has gathered so much steam. The reality, I was completely unimpressed across the board with Microsoft's, presentation. It's like there was nothing in it that made me go, oh my God, I have to go get an Xbox now. Even if I didn't have a Switch, when you start talking about, Smash Brothers is coming and, Mario Party's coming in addition to all the other stuff that's already out. It's like, yeah. Hold on, I'll be there in a minute. I'm going to go get one. There was just nothing in the Microsoft conference that was like, this is a game changer. I need to go pick it up. Either it was already announced on, earlier, or it was a game that's also on other consoles. And so, they still don't have, they're going out and chunking cash at companies left and right, when you buy 5 full-blown development studios, but they still don't have anything that's like, oh my God, I have to go out and get it. It's just like.
Yeah, because you know what? They bought the studio that did State of Decay, right? Undead Labs. Yeah. And honestly, the first State of Decay, I thought it was like meh. And then I played the second one, and it was fun for about 15 minutes. And then it just is kind of like you run around, you go grab some stuff, you come back, you do your base. You run around, go grab some. It was like there was nothing different in the gameplay. It was just, and I got bored with it really, really quick. A lot of people like it though, but I just got bored with it really quick. That doesn't have anything to do specifically with E3, but I think they hyped the game up so much that it actually brought in business. Because it's not really that good of a game.
Well, how many? I mean, you're a Twitch partner. You have much better access to the bounty boards than I do. Are they doing bounties on State of Decay? Because I have seen a lot of people playing it. So whether or not they're doing
the bounties right now, I'll tell you what they are. Hold on, let me get.
Can you tell this? I mean, don't tell us if it's like top secret NDA shit.
Not top secret.
And while he's looking that up,
Neverwinter Nights is the new one. Neverwinter. Hold on, let me pull it up. Okay, so the bounties that they had, Memories of Mars, Worlds Adrift, which I signed up for that bounty and I played it and I hated that game. Total War Saga, you saw that one. Moonlighter, and then now Neverwinter Nights Enhanced Edition. That's the newest one.
Ooh. If anybody has a code for that, I will happily take one off your hands and give you a shout out later.
It's Neverwinter Nights. It doesn't look like.
Well, it's the same thing, but I don't know how many dozens, if not hundreds of hours I have in the original one that came out. So if they're doing an enhanced edition, it's like, of course I want to play it.
It doesn't. It looks like it's 10-year-old graphics. It doesn't really look.
I thought they updated the graphics. They didn't update the graphics.
I mean, I don't know. I zoomed up on my character and it was like basically 2 polys that went like this that were painted.
So, Div, I'm not saying Sony's was better. I'm saying Microsoft's was extremely disappointing. Sony doesn't have anything to prove right now. Sony's selling, you can add together the number of units sold of Switches and Xbox Ones, and it's not even half of what the PS4 is sold. Sony could walk out there, say, we're Sony, kiss my ass, and leave, and they're fine. They're not going to, this issue with Fortnite is going to do far more damage in the short term anyway than, something they would have announced at the show, because they're out front. They're the big winner right now. They're the market leader. The pressure's not on them. The pressure's on Microsoft and Nintendo. And I don't think Microsoft did anything to help their case in their press conference.
Well, if the biggest news is freaking Halo, I mean,
I have a personal vendetta against Halo because that and GoldenEye are the two games that I attribute to people suddenly thinking that you should play a shooter on a console. And we all know that those people are wrong. That's just all there is to it. Sorry, so who else was up next? So Microsoft, whatever. There's nothing really in there. I love Bethesda's press conference. Indy and I watched that one together. But what makes Bethesda different than a lot of these other studios is they're not publicly traded. Their stock price doesn't, define what goes on. At least I don't think they are. Watch this. I'm going to Google it. And it's like, oh yeah, they totally are.
The Andrew WK thing, I was like, I'm not a big fan of that dude anyways. But I was just like, okay, this is whatever. And then I don't know.
So, Doom did really well. They're doing another one. It's fine. It'll go well.
Wolfenstein Daughters.
The
BJ Blazkowicz twin daughters.
Yeah, which is I told Indy during the stream, I was like, thank God for 20 years we're giving BJ a break, and somebody else can go in there and shoot some Nazis. Fallout 76 is going to be, I'm not gonna say it's going to be absolutely monstrously huge, because a lot of the hardcore RPG fans of Fallout aren't going to be interested in it because it's not an RPG. There's not branching stories, not the narrative. All the people that like to get on Reddit and jump up and down and stomp and yell that every single Fallout that comes out isn't as good as Fallout New Vegas, they're not going to be as into it. Elder Scrolls 6, which will maybe be out in 2020, 2021, something like that. And Starfield, it's nice they're working on it, but again, it's like there's nothing here. There's nothing we can actually play.
Elder Scrolls Blades, mobile game.
I like the theory.
It's cross-platform.
I like the theory of it. I signed up. I pre-registered on my
I thought it was out right now.
No, you can. I don't think it is. When I went to it the other night, it was you can pre-register and get notified to.
Oh,
hold on. I'm pulling it up now. Yeah, no, it just says it's registered, coming soon. So I don't know. Maybe they'll launch it after the show. Maybe they'll launch it, in the middle of the week. I'm not sure.
I'm gonna try it.
So I think it could be interesting. I mean, if there's one thing we know Bethesda does well, it's monetize their IP across a ton of devices. So, yeah, it could be real. I mean, it could be good. But the fact that they had Fallout 76 1 that's coming out this year, it's not like, hey, it's in development and it'll be out when it's out. So it's going to come out this year. I don't think they're going to do shit to, neutralize trolls and toxic players. You're going to have griefers, firing nukes into everybody's camp from day one. I don't think that there's anything, overwhelming that they can do about that. But
unless there's private servers.
Well, there are private servers, and they did say that there are. You will be able to create your own server.
Then it will probably be they'll probably on my RP server. There's rules of things that you can and you cannot do. Kicked out. Like Heine says, everything kind of. So in the regards Sony, Square, Bethesda, blah blah blah, all too serious and starts feeling all the same, even though the games are different. I was talking about that earlier too, dude. I was saying the graphics are to a point now where they're so awesome that all the games look the same. They're not, it's gonna differentiate how awesome the games are by how they feel when you play them, not by how they look. unless they can start coming up with some really ingenious gameplay features.
Which, who knows? Maybe they can.
But to be fair, Jay, that's the entire point of the game, is nuking your friends. True.
True. But, you know, they're not usually your friends. If they're your friends, they'll be helping you on your base, you know, not necessarily the other ones. And I do think that's the whole point of the game. I agree with you. Excuse me. But, you know, from a standpoint of the traditional Fallout games, that's not the point at all. And so that's where it goes from, okay, slam dunk to, I don't know, maybe not. You know, it just depends on.
Slam dunk to,
I mean, it has the opportunity to be huge. Whether or not it will, we'll see. And I went to sign up for the beta because they were like, oh yeah, the break it early test access or something, whatever they call the beta. The way you get in the beta is you fucking pre-buy the game. And I'm like, really? I don't want to drop $60 on, and I didn't even see a way I could do it digitally. It's like, select your version, because I have 3, and I select the basic one, and it's like, select your retailer. And I don't want to go to a retailer. I want to get it through Steam or whoever. I don't want to go to a retailer and get it. So, we'll see. Who was next? Ubi. I did not see Ubi's.
Me neither. The Division 2, Beyond Good and Evil. I heard some hype behind Beyond Good and Evil. I watched
them play Division 2.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Wasn't a big fan of the other Division.
I haven't been a big fan of a Clancy game in a long, long time, honestly.
And Assassin's Creed,
I've never played one. I want to. Never.
I played one and it just got super boring. And then whenever I try a different version of Assassin's Creed, it really just feels kind of like the same thing.
And that's the problem with a lot of these, long-going series. It's like, it's like we were talking about Tomb Raider earlier. Hell, I didn't know if that was another. When I came in the middle of that trailer, I didn't know if I was looking at last year's, the Tomb Raider from a few years ago, or a new one, because it all looked the same.
Right. The coolest thing about Assassin's Creed, besides executing people and jumping into bales of hay, is when your character's walking and he just like automatically pushes people out of the way. But, that gets old after a while. Yeah, he just automatically does it. He like nudges people and kind of pushes them out of the way. But
I remember when they first started doing that, that was like a major tech thing that they did. So yeah, I mean, Beyond Good and Evil, I'm a little surprised that they're doing a Toys to Life game. And that's probably where I would put the biggest question mark for Ubisoft is, Activision did this with Skylanders, and Skylanders is still going on. Disney came in and had a great opportunity to do a Toys to Life game, but they fucked it up.
Yeah, and then they're done.
Couldn't do, you have a season 1 character, you can't play with a season 3 character. It was just stupid. And we have like literally all of the Disney Infinities, and we have a lot of the Lego Dimensions. But Lego Dimensions is done now. I mean, whatever's done is done. They're not making any more of it, which, also was a little surprising for me. But because I think they weren't on the right path. But I think, quite frankly, they were getting a little too concerned that their Dimensions was cutting into, their other titles type thing. But Skylanders is still here. It's still going on. It's not slowing down. There's like a mobile version coming out this year. And so for Ubisoft to jump in now with a unbranded Toys to Life game, that raises question marks for me. Now I'm going to go and actually look at it real quick so I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, let's see if it's awesome or. Because it could be awesome.
It could be, but I mean, it's hard to do. Starlink Battle for Atlas is Star Fox Evolved. Okay, now this is getting even more random. Put my ship together. Guns equipped. Okay, so space. It's like all right, so where do the Toys to Life part come in?
Dun dun dun.
I don't either. Okay, so it is Toys to Life because this article talks about it, but I don't know. I'll have to look at it. I think jumping in, I would be a little concerned about a company jumping in with a new IP into Toys to Life when you've seen two companies with gigantic IP libraries step out.
Okay, so here's something that I just found, Jay. Hey, thank you for the host. I'm gonna post it here in the chat. This is from June 18th, 2017, E3, right there. Starlink Battle for Atlas E3 gameplay, Nintendo Switch. So that's how awesome that did, is that it actually showed it last year. And
this is why E3 is so full of shit. Oh, wait.
And I don't remember it, or,
I don't remember it either. Starlink Battle for Atlas E3 gameplay for Nintendo Switch. Is it playable this year? That's what I would want to know. And while we're trying to figure that out,
he has his ship on the. Oh, go ahead. Discord.
Yes, so we're like all the other cool kids now. We have a Discord server, so feel free to hop in and join us, and
post some things.
Continue to be old and curmudgeony.
Yes.
Malio just posted in one of the other servers that I'm on. Shaq Fu is back.
Yep. Shaq Fu video game. Didn't you see that?
Yes.
That's one of those things, I can't remember what it's called, where a whole bunch of people remember it, but it never really actually existed.
No, it did exist.
Shaq Fu the movie?
I don't know about the movie. The game did.
I know, but there was like a whole bunch of people remember Shaq Fu. What is that? It's a phenomenon that a whole bunch of people remember stuff, but it didn't actually happen.
Well, there was the Shazam. He did a Shazam movie. But I don't know that there was ever a game. According to Wikipedia, it was since come to be considered one of the worst video games of all time. Which, hey, is a marketing point. Look at how many people got excited when Atari was digging up ET cartridges in the desert. So, yeah, I'm Ubisoft. I'll put them in that meh category.
It's called the Abilene Paradox.
Oh, there's a name for that?
Yeah, where things that a bunch of people remember it existing, but it never did. Like nice. Sinbad playing a genie in a movie called Shazam.
No, that was Shaquille O'Neal played that.
Right, but that was a movie called Kazam.
I don't know.
But
Shazam's the old superhero. That's what it was.
No, Shazam is a superhero. Shazam! And he would go like that.
Completely set. Anyway, Shazam is the superhero. Kazam was the movie. Got it. Too many Zams.
Zam! Where he would go, Shazam.
Did Sony, all right, so Death Stranding, that got a whole lot of interest and talk time. The Last of Us, sequel, Neo 2, Resident Evil 2, Spider-Man, I'm looking forward to. And part of I am biased because Insomniac's new studio over here in North Carolina is doing a part of it. I'm excited about Kingdom Hearts, but again, that's not really a Sony title. That's a Square Enix title, and it was like the one redeeming thing. And Square Enix is completely mediocre and uninteresting press conference. But I mean, like I said, it's Sony has nothing to prove here. This is not the show that Sony had to come in and say, oh, yes, we're going to do all these great things. Sony basically had to say, we're not going to do things worse than the other two people are, which they have then gone and done with this whole Fortnite thing. Yeah, is it like Final Fantasy VII? The most they showed from Final Fantasy VII was Cloud and the Smash Brothers, demo for Nintendo.
Cyberpunk 2077. It was a video.
Exactly. See, you missed that whole conversation, Game Dev. It was, yeah, it looks great. It's coming from CD Projekt Red. It'll most likely be really good, but it's at least, I would say, a year and a half to 2 years out at least. It will not launch in 2019. I don't think so. But you know what? The part that fries me out of it is it's nothing but, trailers and hype and no gameplay footage whatsoever. But the majority of these games that we're talking about are going to walk away with Best in Show at E3 awards. And it's like, there's nothing to show. You showed us a 2-minute movie. And yeah, it's just, this is part of the reason that E3 is, I know it's huge and there's a lot of gamers, especially now that we have, Twitch and the streaming community. So there's even more focus on, the games and the gamers and that aspect of it. E3 is a marketing circle jerk, for lack of a better word. That's all it is. This show collapsed, what was it, 7 years ago? Because, companies like EA, who were going in and spending millions of dollars on a booth that was there for 3 days, were like, this isn't worth it. And they backed out. And when they backed out, everybody backed out. And then it kind of just fluttered around for 2 years before everybody came back. And now, E3, I don't think E3 knows what it is, because it was media only. And now they let consumers in, which is fantastic. I'm all about the consumers having another show, but it's like, what is it? If you want to do that, E3, do what Gamescom does. Whole bunch of buildings dedicated to the professional side of it, where those of us need to get stuff done can get it done. And then a whole nother side of it is for the consumers. And frankly, the LA Convention Center is not big enough to do that. It's one of those that they're going to need to kind of pick something one way or another and figure out what they want to do. But yeah, it's not.
Yeah. They have announcements just because they have to release something, so they seem. Yeah, relevant.
They do.
Yeah, it's like if Nintendo just I'm not going to show up this year, that would be a big hit to them, no matter what they said.
But there's years where some of the companies do that. They're like, we're not showing anything. It's like EA. I don't know how much of a presence EA may have a presence on the floor this year. Several years they didn't have a presence on the show floor because they would do the EA Play thing outside. And that's what started hurting E3 more than anything, is when people start or stop buying booth space, they're not going to be selling tickets. And if they're not selling tickets, they're not making money. And the majority of the money, comes from, well, it's not the majority. You've got to have a balance. If you don't have the booths and the reason to pull the people in, you're not going to have the people. But if the people aren't coming the next year because they didn't have a good experience, you're not going to have the booths. And so you start this like endless cycle, and that's what hurt, E3 for so many years, because the companies were like, we're spending way too much money on this. And so like the last E3 I was at was the one 2 years ago. So I didn't go this year. I didn't go last year. 2 years ago, E3 used to take up all 3 major halls, halls at LA Convention Center, plus Kentia Hall, which was kind of like the backwater, trade market type thing. It was a bunch of random shit down at Kentia Hall, but a lot of it was like half of that hall was cordoned off meeting room. So if you wanted to have a real business meeting, you could have it down there, because you sure as hell aren't going to have it on one of the main floors because it's too loud and you can't hear somebody standing this close to you on those floors. And then 2 years ago, the hall that always has Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo was full, because frankly, those 3 companies take up the entire hall. And there were some smaller like VR companies around the edges, but that hall was pretty full. The other big hall was, one of the halls wasn't even open. And the other one looked, when you were walking in, like it was full, and it had Take-Two and a couple of other big publishers. But once you got through that section, it was a ghost town. I mean, there was nothing back there. And then there was some, booths way back at the back. And that's where, I looked out there one day and it's like, there's no real line or anything at any of these booths, except there's one like way back in the back that nobody can see unless they walk all the way through there. And it's just like a 10 by 10, setup like you see at most of these shows. And there's a line. And I'm like, what the hell is that? Porn. It was VR porn back there. It was Naughty America and their, VR app. And, that show, I don't know. I want to see how like full it is this year. But E3 is, for those that liked the E3, that was the full of the hype and, all that shit, congratulations, it's back. But it's, it isn't a show that we can go to and say, from a gamer point of view, if there's a lot coming out in the next 6 months, before the end of Christmas, that, you're going to want to see. Because a lot of these same things are going to show in August at Gamescom, and, then throughout the end of the year at, every retailer and holiday commercial and everything else.
Worth the walk. That's funny. Worth the walk.
I'm catching up. I'm catching up on chat now. So you never know we should go to E3 again, Heidi? I'm with you. Gamescom is awesome. That's when I tell developers, they're like, what show should we go to? If you only go to one, go to Gamescom. If you go more than that, we'll talk about what fits you best. But, there are indie areas at E3, like Mix has got an area. Does Indie Game Mega Booth have one? Do we even know? But aside from that, there's truthfully no reason to, for an indie to go to E3, because you're going to get
hammered
drowned out.
Yeah, with all the Nintendo, Sony, nothing.
Some company in Heine's Discord chat or server, which is also very nice, by the way. Heine, if you want to throw up to you and Game Dev Company together, you want to throw your Discord links up, do it, because we love both of y'all. But they're going to E3 and they're like, we can't get meetings with the press. And I was like, you're not going to. He's like, I'm sorry, and I hate to be the one to tell you, but you're not going to get meetings with the press. Press meetings have been booked up for the last month, and they're all sitting down and, watching EA and Sony and Microsoft and Square and all these other, major companies. There's not a lot of indie love that comes from the press at E3. Oh, is it outside? Well, that's what Devolver, who used to be known as God, who was also known as something Rooster or something, I forget. But that same crew has always had that party in the parking lot across the street from E3. And a couple of years ago, it came to head because E3 was getting pissed that they weren't buying booth space, and so they parked a bunch of tractors out there, or they blocked it off with trucks so you couldn't see where it was, or they couldn't use it, or some shit. It was bad. Yeah, I talked to the guy the other day that runs Mix, but I mean, I'll be blunt, I had not heard of Mix until I talked to him. I know the Indie Mega Booth and a couple of the other indie, big groups that put together, but I hadn't heard of Mix before. So one of the things that we're going to start doing on this show more is bring in people to do interviews so we can talk to them. And he's one I want to get in. In the next few weeks, we're going to have, I can say this because she told me she would do it. Now I can say it publicly and hold her to it. Heather, who was one of the senior producers on Fortnite for 3.5 years.
Oh, wow.
All the way through the free-to-play one that's exploding now, is going to sit down with us in a couple of weeks. We're going to have a guy next week talk about marketing for indies and why they should do it and how they should do it. And there's a lot more people that we've got lined up that, I want to get it on the show. So, we can get some more perspectives on this, and you're not just listening to me and Indy and rant and do all that kind of good
Ranting.
stuff. Ranting. Hey, Lily, welcome back. Now, we've been ranting for so long that someone has left and they've actually come back.
They left, went to the bathroom, took a shower, ate some lunch.
Worked an 8-hour day.
Yeah.
Came back. Jay's still bitching about Microsoft. So what, did we make it through all of those?
Yeah, we made it through that article.
Lily, have you tried filling it with beer instead of whatever's in it? Because I saw somebody the other day had a liquid cooling unit, or someone was talking about it, that actually had beer in it.
That's
I'm like,
funny.
what a waste of good beer.
We can actually break up the rest of these for tomorrow. I just drew a line. We can break up the rest of these for tomorrow. Yeah, we made it all the way through all of these articles right here.
You there?
All the way down to the...
you got clipped, and I'm like, oh my God, is your internet burping again?
No, what happened?
Oh, you got cut off for just a second.
We made it through all these articles. We can go do all this stuff tomorrow. Best trailers from E3. How Fallout 6 aims to stop people from being jerks. And we can find some more stuff for tomorrow.
Not gonna happen.
Not gonna happen. Nintendo share drops. Indie games on Switch.
Yeah, we'll get that tomorrow. Because otherwise, yeah, we'll sit here and be going for another 2 hours. I will say this. I have no problem continuing to rant, but we can move it to our Discord server. So if you want to hop over there.
Jump at the voice channel.
Yeah, we have voice channels and everything. And a subscriber channel. So, and don't forget, I feel like I told my wife the other day, my son was watching somebody on YouTube, and I was like, I figured it out. The reason we don't have more subscribers is because every 3 seconds I don't go, hit the subscribe link below, like, a lot of the YouTubers do. So, yeah, we're not going to be doing that.
Oh, I got the tweet up too, Heine. I just now remember to type it in there. I mean, it's a little late now, but there it is.
So should you subscribe? Those are the handy little emoticons that, you get. And then we've got the server. If anyone has thoughts or feedback on, one of the things that I'm looking to do is I'm always trying to figure out how we can balance what indie teams need versus budget, basically. And, to hire my team, my real job, my team is not cheap. And I know that. And that's why I like doing this stuff and giving that feedback and giving, thoughts here and there and helping people along the way. But, at the same time, if there's middle area in there that makes sense, I want to explore that, and I want to see, what everybody's thoughts are.
Like a Patreon type of deal?
Like different tiers on a Patreon thing, whether or not, what would you, if you were paying 10, 20, 50, whatever it is, dollars a month on a Patreon. I haven't even really gone into in depth on price points on that, but what types of things that you would want to see, and we've got, white papers that we can do. We've actually pulled them down from the main list because I'm going through and updating them all. So I don't look back and go, okay, the last time I updated that, white paper was in 2015 and things like retail space don't really exist anymore. But, whether it's knowledge like that, or if it's like one-on-one sessions that you want to, that, would be effective, or ongoing updates to publisher lists to see what publishers are publishing, what types of games, let me know, because those are things that we're always looking to, see what we can do to balance that line between, I don't have enough, I'm not super rich and we can't just sit around here and give away knowledge, to everyone forever free. But at the same time, I know not everybody has, thousands of dollars a month to chunk into, hiring a consultant. So, if there's something that you want to see, something that you think would be beneficial, let me know. And we can absolutely start working. Oh, yes, you're right, Div. And if you have a free Amazon subscription, sub it to us. All the money that we get here, we put back into giveaways and stuff anyway. But yeah, so I think that covers everything.
Yes, for now. Until tomorrow, until the next episode of Indie Game Business.
We'll do it again.
Yes. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Bye. Music.